What's up, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of the Meathead podcast. Joining me, as always, is Big Mike Cox. The screen says Bill Wilmore. 10 points for anyone who can identify who was Bill. Well, he's still alive, but who was he in the bodybuilding world? What did he win? Things like that. And of course, special guest for the third week in a row. We're really lucky to have these two: IFBB pro Jimmy Mentis and top national level heavyweight competitor Chris Pantano. Chris, are you home in Mass or are you in Ohio right now?
No, my flight got canceled.
My
flight got canceled, and they were trying to not refund me my money, so I had to pull out the Department of Transportation laws on them, and I got my money back.
Wow.
Flights are not doing well lately. I had to pick up. I won't bore you too much, but I had to pick up my son. He got in Monday night, so we got some more snow, as you know, Monday night.
Yeah.
His flight was delayed. It finally gets in at 1 in. I'm at the airport at like 1:15 because he just had a carry-on. I'm like, oh, he'll be right out. Guess what time he actually came up? It was 5 in. They kept him on. Yeah, they couldn't find a gate or some stupid. Oh, dude.
It happens.
Well,
Damn.
We're here to talk about more important things than that, of course. So over the past few years, we have definitely seen an escalation in the premature deaths in our industry, in the bodybuilding world. I bet every one of us here knows or knew people that are no longer with us. Some of them we barely knew. Some of them were good friends of ours, maybe even training partners. And it's definitely unique to our sport. We don't see baseball players dropping dead at this rate, football players, race car drivers driving around tracks at 200 miles an hour. They're not seeing deaths at the rate we are. Now, we know there are drugs involved. People are going to talk about them. The natties will chime in and say it's because of all the gear. The gear users will say, no, it's the vax. But there's probably a lot more factors involved. And I'm actually going to start with Chris because Chris, we were DMing and he said he had some theories. And I don't want to wait. I'm very impatient. I want to hear these theories. So you start, Chris.
Okay, the first one is a theory. Because I follow a lot of powerlifting and strongman as well. You're not seeing those deaths nearly as much as bodybuilding. From anything that I've seen. And I mean, I know a lot of powerlifters that, I mean, they eat like shit and they take tons of crap, getting ready for a meet and trying to get bigger. So I think what's the difference between like a lot of the powerlifters and bodybuilders is the sheer amount of muscle mass. Now, I think that, if you take some of the guys in the 90s and early 2000s, they weren't nearly as big or as conditioned as some of these guys now. I know the guys in the 90s are going to give me some shit about this, but if you look at like all the pros and stuff now, like a lot of them are in shape and they're huge. And you've got guys that are hitting 340 pounds in the off season. And a lot of them are that fat and out of shape. So you got to think like that is a lot of muscle that heart has to constantly pump oxygen to just to sustain just walking around. So I think it's just the sheer amount of muscle mass that these physiques have been putting on over the years. And then their heart just has to work much harder. Someone who's 300 pounds of like muscle and single digit body fat is going to have a lot more cardiovascular strain on their body than someone who's 300 pounds at maybe 25% body fat, because fat's not as metabolically active. If you take the same bill of health and whatnot, the cardiovascular strain on someone with a lot more muscle tissue is going to be I think a little more detrimental to their bodies.
Well, what about because obesity is a huge a risk factor in heart disease. Correct. So you think that these powerlifters, the strongman guys carrying more body fat, you might assume they would be at higher risk of a heart attack than bodybuilders who stay leaner. But your belief is that it's the sheer amount of ratio, the muscle mass.
It's just the amount of muscle. Like, your heart has to constantly work to provide oxygen to that tissue. And blood flow and nutrients. And I think, then all of a sudden you're getting much heavier in the off season, body fat accumulates a little bit, and you're combining that with PEDs. I think that poses a huge risk factor. And the other thing I think about, and this is just a theory here, but I think getting in the level of conditioning like year after year, I think puts its toll on your body, even though you don't have as much body fat. But for the guys that maybe not do reverse diet and they're eating, like, you don't know how much fat's accumulating viscerally around the organs. that constant stress on the body, being in a calorie deficit, pushing yourself in training, all that stuff adds up on the body. And I think that could be, two possible causes, being extremely big with lean muscle tissue, and then also obviously just putting your body through a lot of hell with a contest prep. And this is me not talking about like the drugs or the conspiracies about the vaccine and stuff like that. So those are just two that I thought of. I was thinking about.
Okay. All right. Well, Jimmy, you started competing in the 80s. So you've had a ton of people who were using gear in the 80s who would be about your age now or even older.
I kind of agree. Obviously, I'm going to push back on the 90s thing that he said, just because.
Okay.
But I kind of agree with Chris because, back then you didn't see a lot of us in the 300s, right? It was me, Gunther, Paul Dillette, Jean-Pierre,
Nasser.
You see what I'm saying? It's like now you got guys in their fourth year pro and they're hitting off seasons 290, 300, so, I can agree with that. There's a lot more pressure. I also agree that the more muscle you have, the more stress your heart is under. Absolutely. What I do see is the use of drugs. I'm in it, man. I'm in it. These guys come to me fucked up, right? And I see their blood work, and they might not have the issue today, but this hit that they've the way it impacted their bodies throughout the years, there's got to be some strain there. Okay, but I'm not going to throw it all out on the bodybuilding. I'm going to save it a little on this side. Are we talking about bodybuilders? Or are we talking about influencers who bodybuild? Because if you really are they part of the bodybuilding world?
Yeah, I mean, they're bodybuilders. I don't believe you have to compete to be a bodybuilder. These people, they run gear year long. I think the influencers, a lot of times, they're more careless because I don't think they ever come off because they're creating content every damn day. They can't ever be smaller or fatter, flatter. They have to be this crazy looking guy or girl all the damn time. So
yeah, but I don't consider them part of our industry.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Now, if influencer dies, and he was in shape and he did this and he did that. We hear it in our industry, but that has nothing to do with us.
True.
I'm talking about competitors now.
Okay.
You look at the competition platform and you say, okay, who, back then when someone passed away, we heard about it a month later through the magazines or whatever. Now we got live video of them rushing them to the hospital.
Yeah.
And you times that by 10 countries, that's 10 a day.
24-hour coverage.
So the awareness now, we see more of it. I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm just saying we see a lot of it lately because of the social media. But you also have to look at, okay, who is dying, if we want to use that word, right? And are they competitive bodybuilders? Sorry. Are they competitive bodybuilders that we know of? Like, God, bless his soul, may rest in peace. Jason, right? I was good friends with Jason. And I was going to help him with his posing this year. Wow. So how did Jason end up in that situation, right? Or how any Jason ends up in this situation? There's got to be a drug component here. We know, the four of us know, the minute we did something, we knew we were taking a risk.
Right.
Okay. Now, if we'd have never took the steroids and we had health issues, we might have overcame them. Okay. On the flip side, Dennis Newman beat leukemia because he was a bodybuilder.
Yep. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because I was there. I saw him go through this, and doctors actually said, if you didn't have this muscle mass, you would have died.
Wow.
Okay, so where does that line go? We know I know. I remember when, the food, when I got up high on the food, I really felt it. When you're holding your breath for 10 seconds trying to tie your shoe, okay?
It's the worst.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
Your head's up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're doing one of these.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to do it twice. And if you miss doing the bow on the you got to go back down. Right? So there is a drug component here, and there is damage. Are there other drugs involved? Because back then there was Nubane involved, right? In the 90s, there was Nubane involved. There was GHB involved. I mean, there's cocaine involved.
Ecstasy. It was all the party stuff that we used.
Right.
That is still going on today. If you go to Vegas, like the pool parties on Encore, like the day after the Olympia.
Yeah.
I saw so many people just their eyes were like shock eyes, man.
Yeah. I didn't know people were rolling during the daytime. That's crazy.
No, that's when you go to bed. That's when it was time to call it quits.
Like that cardiac arrest. There's got to be multiple components to that. No one's going to turn around and say it was drugs. Maybe because he had drugs involved throughout the years, he or she couldn't pull it off. But the heart is a muscle. Even if you didn't take any drugs, just training alone, it's going to grow. Yeah.
They call it athlete's heart.
Right.
Yeah. Usually it's the left ventricle that size, and it gets kind of floppy, and then it can't pump properly.
But Ron, what my doctor told me a couple of years ago, like after 2020, when everything was jacked up, I wanted to get big one last time, and I was getting bigger. I got back up to like 240. The doctor goes, he looked at me and goes, you don't see 50-year-olds that live very 240 pound 50-year-olds that live very long. And that to me was the first time I think it kind of scared me into it to like, dude, listen, is it really worth it? And when you bodybuild, you can't be afraid. Like you can't have, we weren't afraid. Like Jimmy said, I wasn't afraid of the Nubane. I wasn't afraid of all the shit we did, right? We did it. But we never thought about dying, right? But as you get older, and at 52, I would be deathly afraid to be a competitive bodybuilder now. But it's a 52-year-old brain, not a 35-year-old brain, right? But we didn't, like Momo died and Munzer. Like Albert Beckles had a few problems, but that's it. And we found out about, like Jimmy said, weeks later. And for a minute, we were like, oh, remember when Munzer died? We were like, oh, we're going to diuretic test and we're going to do all this. And nothing happened. Right. The same shit. You know what I mean? It's just, in this sport, there are risks. There's risks in football. There's risks in NASCAR. But you have to kind of weigh those, man, because like 38 years old, that's a kid, bro. That's like, we planned for 40, Ron. We had a 40th birthday party.
Yeah.
And he had a wife. It's just, it sucks that sometimes someone's passing that kind of just slaps you in the face to kind of make you realize, hey, man, slow it down.
But no one's going to listen. But Mike, did you listen to anybody? I didn't.
No, I didn't, man. I didn't. And
what I'm saying?
No
one's gonna listen to you. You grab this guy by the shoulders, like, listen, you're gonna fucking die. It's like, okay, I got you. You don't understand that until you get older. Until it's just a different look. I mean, Chris, how old are you?
I'm 41, and there's times now where I'm kind of like
there. You're right there.
Correct. I there's times I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So like I said, I get my blood work done multiple times a year. I make sure I have an oximeter, check my resting heart rate, my oxygen levels. I check my blood pressure multiple times a week. I
wish we had that, dude. I wish we had that shit back then. That would have saved me personally a lot of health issues that I'm going through now, right? But that just wasn't available. And our doctors weren't, I couldn't go to my doctor and say, I'm taking some tests. You were afraid to tell them that, right? Because everything was so hush-hush back then. It was very like, You know what I mean? Bright, but it's great now because, like I said, Chris, you're taking those steps to be open and like taking precautions. But even at 41, man, I remember like you still love this shit. Like you
I still
this
do. I still
this
do
is
for
it,
sure.
man. Yeah, like it's and I get it. I did my last show at 41, and dude, the same, diet hard, overdo tons of stupid shit, blow back up. And now you look back and think, holy shit, blowing back up 40 pounds, that could have fucking killed me.
Listen,
Like,
you don't have to go too far. A year ago, I was all in. I was up to 280. And Romano calls me, goes, I haven't seen any guy over 60 years old, 280. Just like exactly what you said,
Have you?
I was like, I got it till Japan. So even Mike, but even back then, if we knew about, we didn't know about the blood pressures. We didn't know about this, right? So Chris is right on the fence here, right? So if he was 28 years old, 30 years old, he would be doing this. But now there's more awareness.
Yeah.
Right? There's more awareness. I'm checking my blood pressure.
Yeah.
I got it on the kitchen table every other day. I wrap that cuff around. I'm like, okay, I'm going to lift today. We're good.
Yeah.
So
I keep telling everyone, because I got a cardiologist about 4 or 5 years ago because I said I want to know. I don't want to keep right. Just ignoring it, and because I think that's the bodybuilding mentality is I don't want to know, because if you go and get the calcium score done and it's like an SAT score, and if you see there's blockage and stuff, then if you continue on the path you're going, you're killing yourself. You're basically playing Russian roulette with 5 rounds in the chamber, and it's going to be on you. But if you ignore it and don't get those tests done, so I don't know how many. I think blood work is pretty standard. I think almost everyone using PEDs now gets blood work done 2, 3, 4 times a year. But I don't know how many are doing the stress tests, the calcium scores, the heart ultrasounds, all those.
They do. You can get echoes done too. I have to get a calcium score this year. I get my physical coming up, so I'm gonna have him write me a referral. My primary care is absolutely amazing. He's out at North Andover. I've sent him over 80 patients over the years. Yeah, because he knows all about PEDs, peptides, and stuff, and he knows how to code everything. So your standard blood work, like he codes it properly. So it's like $3,500 worth of blood work, and I'm only paying like $150 for with insurance. But things like HSCRP, like the inflammation marker, like that one there is a very, very valuable test to get done, and a lot of insurances don't cover it. And like I said, getting a calcium score, echo done, stress tests, any of that stuff. There's a whole bunch of other tests you can do too for like brain health if you've got any blockages in the brain. Like D-dimer test is one of them. So there's just a lot of stuff that's out there just for preventative measures.
And there are really no excuses now, because as bodybuilding fans, even the young ones, they know this is available. Like Merrick Health is on every freaking podcast. So they're out there. Like, Chris, you're talking about your doctor. I think that kind of doctor is like a godsend.
Oh,
because every now and then you'll meet a good doctor. I had a good female doctor one time. She gave me an EKG, and like it led to me having a cardiac cath. Finding out there's like 25%. God bless her, right? But like you don't always get those good doctors, bro. You don't always. My dude now, I talked to the physician assistant more last time, and all he does is, here, take this. Give you some scripts to take. It was almost like he had a deal with the prescription company. He didn't read it. He just threw it. Like, I'm like, whoa, bro, what's the side effects?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so God bless good PCPs, man, because they're few and far between, and even finding one and trying to switch but the healthcare system sucks ass. Right. But especially for a bodybuilder, we're trying to prevent bad shit from happening, but they make it so hard for us to do that.
Right.
So
they also just want to throw prescriptions at you, which is like, it's just slapping a Band-Aid on, but they don't. A lot of the doctors just fail to establish like what is the root cause of all of this, and a lot of this stuff can be very preventable just through diet and exercise, and like I said, not staying on all year round and blasting, your total PED exposure is also what causes many issues in the years to come. You're going to be pretty good those first 5 years for most people. But then once you're getting into like that 10 or 20, especially that 20-year mark where you're taking stuff, that's when it's like, okay. And a lot of these younger kids now, bodybuilding is a lot more mainstream. So you have way more people taking PEDs at a younger age, and we've talked about it the last time with the last podcast, like kids don't want to do the whole less is more approach. They just want to start blasting, grams of shit a week. And, now they're, early 20s. Now their exposure is going to be a lot longer at much higher doses, which also can cause issues.
I was at a gym the other day, and I've gone to the gym about 4 months ago, and this younger kid in his 20s, heavy, came up to me and he's like, "Hey, can I take a picture of it?" Absolutely. So I went back to that gym and I saw him. He came up to me, I didn't even recognize him. He had lost so much weight. I'm like, "Dude, how's it going?" He goes, "Yeah, my buddy gave me some tren."
Oh,
he lost 40 pounds.
What?
Yeah. The guy never his friend gave him tren, and he kept training, and he lost 40 pounds.
Wow.
And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to congratulate him because he lost 40 pounds, because I didn't want him to think it's like, "Great, you took tren, it really worked, you lost 40 pounds, And I'm like,
Jim, I want you to settle something, because you're the only look at that cat. You're the only one who has this perspective. We keep hearing guys use a lot more gear now. And then I also hear, no, the guys in the 90s use just as much. They just lie about it. So you were there then, and you still follow everybody now, and you coach people. So
I listen, our stuff was, when you took 500 milligrams of test, you took 500 milligrams of test. Okay. You take 500 milligrams of test, you don't know what you're taking. You really don't. I don't care what anybody says. Well, my test levels are at 3,000. Yeah, well, some tests cap out at 1,500. Some tests cap out at 3,000. So how do you know where you really are? That's the thing. It's like, I know I lived with the guys back there, but back then, when someone says I took 3 grams, it's like, when I hear this, I'm like, 3 grams of what? I'm not saying we didn't push it, or the other guys didn't push it, but we came off. We did an off season and a cut cycle. That's it. So where does we came off, and our receptors were much better. The drugs were better. I'm not trying to glorify the drugs, okay? But when I hear Big Paul, I heard him the other day, okay? I was just going through YouTube, and I heard Big Paul say, "I'm not really a fan of Anadrol. I took it, and I really don't know if it's really worth the money." You fucking kidding me? Have you ever taken real Anadrol? You take 50 mgs of Anadrol, you even push yourself at 100 mgs, even 150. The minute you're sneezing, your nose is bleeding.
Kimmy's hurt.
I took Anadrol a few times. The first time I ever took Anadrol, I did 50 milligrams. Now, granted, my blood pressure is always low, so even Anadrol didn't raise it. But I gained 20 pounds in 21 days on Anadrol. And my face looked like I ate like 5 pounds of bacon, and my strength went through the roof. But the appetite was terrible on it. My appetite was just gone.
Yep. And that's Anadrol. See, we had the American Anadrol, but then over in Greece, Europe, it was called anasteron. So, I mean, you knew taking it 3 days in.
Yeah.
Wasn't the most famous brand of Anadrol from Greece at that time?
I'm sorry?
Didn't Greece produce the most famous brand of Anadrol in the world?
Yeah, it was I don't remember the brand, but it was a white box with a red line across it.
Was it Syntex?
Yes.
Syntex, yeah.
Yes.
I read about Syntex before that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, and there were punch outs. There were 100. There were 250 punch out. Yeah.
But that was back when it was like you said, you do one of those a day. Like my strength, didn't have big bones. I was never meant to be very strong, but my strength was just obscene.
Yeah.
But again, it's so intoxicating. And when you're a kid, maybe a teenager, and you have self-esteem issues, and you see Sam Sulik and he's getting jacked, and you want to get girls, like that's just an intoxicating thing, right? Like I don't think I ever did it to get girls because I just want to be a freak and just kind of gross people out. But as a teenager, bro, like even listen, we all. I'm happy married, but there was that time, during the 90s in the club, you dress, you're partying, you're just wilding out, and your physique helped, and it's intoxicating. And again, it's just when you've got that young brain, it's not really formed, and teenagers' brains aren't fully formed, bro. And when you're injected testosterone, your test is all out of whack, you come off, your estrogen, and you didn't know. We were lucky to have guys that said, okay, come off, do some HCG. Do some foam, take some time off, right? Not like I'm just going to bridge for all year and I'm 21 years old. And no 20-year-old should be on TRT. That blows my fucking mind, right?
Mike, did you realize back then that it wasn't the girls that were looking at you? It was really the guys.
Yes.
I was just gonna bring that up, Jimmy.
You're literally walking through a restaurant or something, and all the guys are just looking at you like, fucking that big.
Greg Valentino used to say he'd be at the Sound Factory, and there's a million hot chicks in the Sound Factory, but all these dudes come up to him all night, and all they do is they want to talk about gear with him. He's like, motherfucker, fuck. I want to enjoy myself. I don't want to be talking about gear all night, but that's true. So, Jimmy, do you think people use more gear now?
I want to touch on that. So, when I hear guys taking 2 grams, 2,500, to me, the first thing I say is, how can you handle that? And I'm saying 2 things. Number one, your shit's not real, or it's not dosed properly, okay? Or you're not training hard enough and you're not eating enough. When someone's taking 2,500, 3 grams, I'm even more, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be something going on there. You're at 2 grams of say 1,000 tests and 500 primo, or you want to add the rest, right? The pills or the orals or whatever. You're at 2,000. Man, you got enough room in you for maybe 16 weeks before you got to come off. Okay, you guys agree with me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you got a good 16 weeks before you shit your liver. Okay, and then but I see guys. Oh, I'm just bridging. What are you bridging with? I'm just 1,000. What?
Yeah, I hear that too.
What?
I'm cruising, and it's like test mast and like Proviron, and I'm like,
but here we are now, right, Ron? To answer your question, because they're bumping it up all the time, like their 500 milligrams doesn't work for them, so now they got to go 750. So they never come off. That's 750 now. They got to bump it up to 1,250. So I think that's where these numbers are going up.
Well, what about this? I mean, I think they start out at higher doses now because back in the day, like my first cycle was 500 milligrams a test, and I think it was 400 milligrams a deca. That was a pretty sizable. That was a lot. But I hear about guys starting off with a gram of test, a gram of trend, 10 IUs of growth, 20 IUs of insulin. That's their first cycle. So I always say, if you start there, where do you go from there? Because you're going to say, well, shit, if I want to see more results, I better up it. So every cycle is probably going to be a little bit more and more and more until over time, now you're seeing the 3 grams, 4 grams, 5 or 6 grams eventually, which I don't know how many people. Some people can tolerate that. I think that's another genetic component. Yeah. Some people can abuse recreational drugs, PEDs, and suffer very few consequences. Other people are not that lucky.
That's
it's a genetic. Yeah, they're very rare few, but they're out there, and I think people see them and think it's okay. Then I'm going to be like that too.
I'm hearing 800 primo. 800 primo.
Well, is it like, I think now Primo and Mass are considered safer, right? Like I could never afford Primo Burl Masteron back in the day. Like those are just out of my price range, but I don't know, maybe it's considered safer. And you know, you think you know what the pros are running and you want to do what they do. Cause like again, we thought that Jimmy, you guys had the best drugs for taking 20 tons of shit. And these kids see these guys and don't realize that they're genetic freaks. Like they're the 1% of the 1%, right? Like,
I think there's a. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
I think there's a lot of talent now. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of good bodybuilders. I just don't think they really apply themselves. They're stuck on this fucking science clinical thing and shit like that, instead of going in and just throwing some weight around, controlling the weight, right? Eating. It's just all too much detail. And you don't have any secondary muscles coming into play. You don't have any of that. And take less drugs and put it to work. These guys are waiting, and I'm seeing it. I'm not talking. I'm not assuming nothing. I'm just talking about with what I know and who I talk to. I got over 100 clients right now. Wow. Okay, worldwide. Yeah. Okay, and the reason why I got so many is totally by accident, because you work with one, he brings you two, this and that, right? And usually when one's abusing, the people he's bringing, they're all abusing. Mm. So to me, it was an easy fix, right? You basically take the one guy that's the leader of the pack, okay? you get him to buy into the fact, hey, just listen to me here. Just ride this out with me. You trust me? He goes, okay, next thing you know, everybody's just following. They're just following like, holy shit, we're only doing 500 and 500. I feel great. And they were doing 22, 2,300.
I was in the gym maybe a couple months ago, and I watched this 17-year-old kid bench like 475. Wow. And I was like, holy shit. So I went up, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm like, that's absolutely awesome. I'm like, great job. And he's like, oh, I'm trying to get big like you. And I'm like, well, you're 17. Like, you're already moving this way. I'm like, it's way more than I ever did. And then he proceeds to tell me he's running 800 tests, 600 EQ, and 50 milligrams of D-ball a day.
15?
50.
50, I was going to say 15 is not much.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah, so, yeah, 50. Yeah, so you're what is that? I can't math right now. What is that? 350 milligrams of D-ball a week. Yep. Plus 1,400, so 1,750 milligrams a week, and the kid's 17 years old. And I looked at him and I go, what are you doing? Yeah. I'm like, and his whole rationale was, well, you always get your most gains off your first cycle, so I figured I'd just full send it. And I'm like, you could have done that on probably 300, 400 milligrams of tests. And I go, you shouldn't even been taking it anyways because you're 17.
Right.
And where are they getting the money for this shit too?
Yeah.
Where are they getting the money to run 700-800 Primo?
Yeah.
Crypto? You don't play with crypto. But still. Well, let me ask you guys this, and whoever wants to weigh in first. We all used to complain. I didn't complain about, but say, they say the pros are very secretive about their drug use, and no one talks about what they use and how much. And we've come full circle from that, where there's so much transparency. There are entire podcasts devoted to just interviewing top amateurs and pros about their drug cycles. And all they talk about is drugs. And even on Instagram, you see all these influencers, and every other post, it'll be them posing or training, and the cycle is just listed out there. Like here, 1,000 tests. It's all out there in the open. So any 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kid can go, okay, that's what I need. If I want to look like that dude, and they do, that's what I'm going to use. So on the one hand, it's great that we have that access to information, but in this case, I think it's a bad. I think Joe Weider had it right in the old days. You never heard about steroids in Muscle and Fitness Reflex magazine, not once. And people could say, "What an asshole! He was just trying to make people buy his shitty supplements." The guys were actually all on juice. Well, yeah, anybody with half a brain who had been around the industry for more than 5 minutes knew that these guys were on drugs, on steroids. Right. But I think it's, in the end, I'd rather have all those gullible kids waste their money on shit supplements than see a 16-year-old kid banging 2 grams of gear when he's got no business doing that. And he's going to be shutting down his test production before he's out of fucking high school. What the hell is that? Okay.
That's actually why I don't openly talk about what I run, because I don't want to give the wrong impression to some younger kids that are trying to do something. Like I didn't take, like I said, I didn't take anything until I was like 28, 29. So,
But Chris, none of our business.
Well, that's the other thing. People are like, oh, you should be more transparent. Yeah. You should be more this. And I'm like, I don't owe you nothing. I don't have to be transparent at all. Like, it's none of your business.
Right.
So a couple of years ago, Fuad and I got into it because it was getting out of control. Right? These guys were going on podcasts and they were talking about drugs and drugs and drugs. So I kind of posted something and he's like, well, I'd rather them know how to do it than doing it themselves. To me, it's that's not the right way, because the more information you're giving someone, the more they're going to look into it. You're going to say one thing. If you just kibosh it completely, they just might turn around and say, you know what, I don't know enough, or I'm going to try it. At least the industry doesn't take responsibility. Do you know how many drugs are in the NFL and the NBA?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Ridiculous. Just to play on Sunday.
Right?
You know, the Toradol to play on Sunday.
Well, no one's going around saying, are you natty or not? Right? So all of a sudden now, everybody's talking about drugs because there's nothing else to talk about. Right? There's an audience now. There's an audience on the bad stuff. Look at the news. Why do we watch the news? Because they're train wrecks every day. That's why I don't watch the news anymore. It's just bad stuff every day. And I stopped listening.
That's what gets views and likes, though.
Right. Controversy.
Yeah.
Controversy and illegal taboo stuff.
But,
right?
Like they're discussing a Schedule 3 felony. I just talked to a friend of mine today. He's been popped 3 times. Right? This is back in the day when we were real secretive about shit. But to go on YouTube and lay out what you're doing, that blows my freaking mind. I'd click off the goddamn page just because I'm thinking the FBI might be like watching the goddamn page. It's just, I don't know, everything's free. And again, like you said, Jimmy, with Fuad, you're not going to put the directions how to make crack on Facebook, right? You're not going to put how to cook up dope on Facebook, right? Or how to rock it down. You don't want kids knowing. When you're not a little naive in the sport, right, like we were, it was almost better. Like you didn't know the drug side. They were still your idols. You still looked up to them as heroes. I remember I saw Robbie Robinson guest pose, and it was like seeing Jesus Christ. It was like Black Jesus on stage, right? And they don't have these memories because they want to just start injecting shit so quickly. The journey of the sport is what's fun, right? Yeah. Like that first shot, maybe one thing is great, but like when you're 17, you got a pin. Oh, what the fuck is that? Go out and chase chicks. Like, stop worried about train, have fun, but go chase some ass. You're 17, 18 years old. It's great benching 475, but when I was 18 years old, that's not what it was. Okay. It wasn't bodybuilding, so I can't really say that shit. But I had a girlfriend, so it's different. So,
well, when you and me were 17, though, I didn't know that steroids were. I saw the guy. I saw the picture of the guys in the magazines. I didn't know they were on steroids, and I didn't know. I didn't have the limiting belief that you can't build any size or strength. You can't get any bigger or stronger naturally. And so I did. I got way bigger and stronger. I started 27, a little younger than Chris, but I trained naturally for many years and made tons and tons of gains, where I feel so bad for these kids now because I think it's imprinted on them basically from social media, YouTube and all that, well, shit, you have to be on drugs. Natties are all going to be, I'm going to look like a crackhead if I stay natural. And so they never even give themselves a chance because they don't think it's possible.
And it's very
accessible. And these 17-year-old kids and stuff that are like, hitting the needle drugs, as I like to call them. Like when I was 17, I remember when I took creatine for the first time, I was scared shitless. And I took these, like, I think they were like Beverly International. They were like these little chocolate taffy chews. And I remember like I was sitting in the gym parking lot and I was getting ready to undo the chew. It was the first one I was going to take. And I remember I go, there's no turning back now. And then I did it. Like I was scared shitless taking creatine, which is the most studied supplement of all time, and I never once, I got to be honest, it wasn't until like my mid to late 20s, when I always was the one getting random drug tested at the natural shows I competed in. You know, I was one random tested every time, but I never once really thought about gear usage. I mean, I just assumed they all took it. I mean, it didn't make sense that Ronnie Coleman was natural when he was on stage at the 2003 Olympia, but I just had fun lifting and enjoyed it. I didn't care about the other stuff. I didn't do it for chicks. I just like to train and just push my body and mind, you know? And I had some crazy numbers as a natural in my peak natural strength. It was the people nowadays probably still can't even hit, you know, that have been taking stuff for years because they just don't train hard.
Throw the numbers. I want you to throw the numbers out there because I don't think people, you're going to blow some minds. Tell me how strong you were at your height before you went on gear.
So I was 195 pounds. I benched 405 for 3. I deadlifted 645 and squatted 700 at 195 pounds.
Natty.
Wow.
That was like my peak natural strength. Yeah.
But there's the difference. I trained because I love training, right? I'm 60. I'm still training. It's like I didn't train just to look good. I love the process of training.
Yeah, the journey.
Yeah, you know, going in the gym and just feeling that weight come on you, feeling that muscle. Like I love that process. I love that whole journey. Now it's not, you know, because now when you're telling me that it's, you know, all you gotta do is 1 set and 2 sets and time under tension. They don't like training. I can't do that. I'm bored. I won't even go to the gym.
Yeah, I tried that training. I tried that training this year for a few months. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah,
I was so bored. I hated going to the gym. Like every time I'd get ready to go to the gym, I'm like, I just don't want to go. And then my wife, you know, she was just like, ever since you started doing this training, like you just hated going to the gym. And I was like, oh shit, you're right. So I went into that gym and did my old style of training. I was like, oh, I feel great again.
Yeah.
I mean, train when they're off though, like they're training that when they're on, taking a bunch of shit. But when they come off, will they still have that kind of same enthusiasm to train? Like that's the real thing. Training when you're on, that's awesome. But remember when we come off, it wasn't the same, but we still love to train. It was more of a challenge to train and clean.
They don't come off now.
I mean, at least when I would come off too, though, like I would know that my training intensity, you know, like my strength and stuff might take a hit. My pumps might not be as good, but I already mentally prepared for that.
Right.
You know, so it's like, it's not like, oh my God, what's wrong? You know, some people have that ego about them where it's like they need to be blasting full 24/7. And sometimes you just need to give your body a break.
Yeah. I was too scared to even think about taking it all year round. You know, I did my cycles and came off and waited 3-4 months and went back on.
And plus, you got to get tired of taking shots. Like I got tired of poking my shoulders and my hips. That was a lot of it too. Was just like, well, fuck, man. Like it was nice. The scar tissue start to go away, and your little horns would go away, and your glutes. It was nice.
So that's actually how I know what you just said is that's how I know when it's like time to come off. When I don't want to do my injections anymore, and I'm just like, fuck this. That's when I know I'm like, time to come off. Which is, you know, for me, that's going to be next week. Yeah.
So last year, I was like, fuck, man, because I was doing it dailies. You know, I was back then. We did it once a week. You know, you do 3 sustenance, 3 primos, all on Sunday. Boom, you're done. You know, so I was doing it every day, getting ready for the Masters every day. I just came to a point. I'm like, you know, fuck, I'm not doing it today. I'm just not doing it.
We have to address this because Donald Pump he's doubting that bodybuilders are dying at any greater rate than other sports. He says try to find more than a couple people who compete in Mr. Olympia no longer with us the last 30 years. Cedric and Sean, well, if you follow Generation Iron's Instagram page, it's like an obituary.
I was just going to say that, Ron.
I'd say every week, maybe 2 or 3 times some week, they'll say 32-year-old bodybuilder from China or Brazil. They'll cover these people that you've never heard of, who they're competitors, but they're not top pros or anything. So yeah, maybe Cedric and Roden. There's only a few huge name guys that have died. But like Sean Ray did a post toward the end of that, just like a month ago. He listed all the tons of people that died in 2025.
55, I think, was the number, right?
Yeah.
Dante Trudell
wasn't I don't know how to say it without sounding really raw, but wasn't Dallas McCarver the start of it?
That was 2017. I remember him and Piana passed like within a week of each other.
Right, yeah. Right. I think that's where it all just went down.
Things started kind of like.
I mean, once here we go with conspiracies, and I had to bring it up at some point. But once that vaccine got rolled out in early 2021, we did see an escalation.
A huge amount.
But yes. you saw it in soccer players. You saw it in track athletes.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I was just about to say, Jimmy. There was even a massive influx. I forget what the exact figure was, but in the 5 years after the jab came out, there was a thing that I saw that had data, and this was in high school athletes, that there was more cardiac arrests in the 5 years in high school athletes than there was, I think, in the last 50 years.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I always had this theory that PEDs and the vaccine don't mix, because if it does increase blood clotting, and you've seen some of the autopsies, they've pulled out 3 foot long blood clots.
God damn.
You're taking something, you're taking PEDs that increases inflammation, to me, it always just seemed like a bad mix. I mean, will we ever get that truth to come out? Maybe 15 years from now or something like that. But
people were going in for tricep tears, and they were dying for blood clots.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, anesthesia. Yeah. But my wife, she works for like a hospital, and she said the same thing, is that the stick and the anesthesia, they weren't mixing, but doctors, they didn't. This is what she told me, because she talked to the doctor, but it just wasn't a good mix sometimes with both of them together. But she said the doctor said the same thing, like people were minor surgeries were having like really bad problems. You know what I mean? But
I just don't understand how someone could look at this and with using common sense and be like, this is where we were, before 2020. This is what's been going on in the last 6 years. I don't know how anyone could look at that with common sense and be like, oh, there's nothing going on there. It's just all steroids that's causing the issue.
Because it's easy blame. Steroids are easy to say, oh, he died because he took steroids, or he died, right? It's what's been going on for decades, right?
Well,
even
listen,
for long as you remember.
You get mad, you raise your voice, they're gonna blame the steroids.
I mean, I think I read something. There's like more deaths per year.
Oh yeah,
with Advil than there is PD use, but you got to think of it this way too. Bodybuilding is more mainstream now, right? So for some simple math here, let's say we had 100,000 competitors at one point, and now we have 500,000 or 1 million competitors. Just from law of averages, there are going to be an increase in, morbidities or whatever, just because there's a lot more people doing it.
Right.
Yeah. And 24-hour news cycle too.
So Chris, when you say mainstream, what do you mean by mainstream?
When I say mainstream right now, I'm talking like the fitness influencer competitive aspect combined, right? You've got these people that are taking SARMs, PEDs at young ages because they want to make a name for themselves on social media. They want to get sponsorships and they want to write ebooks and whatever. And then there's more and more people now that want to compete. Like,
that it's bled into the mass market, right? It's
correct. Yeah. Like 6-7 years ago, it's like I'd be the only competitor in the gym. Yeah. One that I used to go to, unless I went to like Bayshore or somewhere there's a lot of competitors. But now I walk into the gym, everyone's hitting front lat spreads in the mirror and side triceps. Everyone's taking this. Everyone's talking about what peptides and stuff that they're using. Whether they compete or not, it's still people that are taking this stuff. And then, they take it for a few years and then they build the physique that they're comfortable with. Oh, I'm going to get on stage now. And then they get on stage and you have more and more competitors.
Right.
That are, right. And I'm not talking just like maybe like the classic bodybuilding, like men's physique, even the women's class.
The women, the bikini, the whole fit model thing. The whole fit model thing, I believe the
I'm
fit
just
model
dollar signs. You're doing this, I'm doing math in my head like,
absolutely. It's how can you make it bigger? When men's physique came out, that's a much more attainable look than an open pro. You know what I mean?
The fit model class is a weight loss competition. Period. Yeah. It's for the women who need to lose weight, who want to lose weight, that don't have to go to the extremes. And it's a business, right? You pay the $300 or the $200 or whatever for the NPC card. Then you pay the $150 for the class, and then maybe another 3 crossovers. That show's costing you $800. Put the makeup, another $350 plus this and that. You're Tanning. You're in $2,000, right? Everybody's making money. It's a business. Yeah. I'm not saying anything. God bless them. I have no problem with this because they're creating a platform and people are going. No one's forcing them to go. Everybody's like saying, oh, these shows should be doing this or should be doing that. No, get the fuck out of here. If you don't like it, you don't compete. You know, I got steak and shrimp at my restaurant. That's all I'm serving. If you don't like it, go next door.
Yeah.
You see? So everybody's like, well, you know, they should accommodate the athletes. They're accommodating the majority. And the majority is winning.
It's a business, man.
Right? So, you know, I have my things with the NPC and the IFBB, but it's a business. When you break it down as a business, and this is where they have separated themselves completely with the drugs. Completely. What you do, that's your problem. We have a stage this Saturday at this arena or this hotel. You're going to pay X amount of dollars. You're more than welcome to come. That's it. That's it.
So I want to address this one last time because Donald was very adamant that we're not seeing a lot of bodybuilders dying, and I don't know how he can have that way of thinking because I think it's painfully obvious to anyone who's on social media. The deaths just keep on coming and coming and coming. It's all the time.
I don't think Donald has seen the worldwide, the international. I think he's just focused on the U.S.
Maybe. Yeah.
And it's only January, bro.
Even if so, you know, maybe there wasn't many bodybuilding deaths years ago because, like one of you guys said earlier, it's just because it wasn't covered. There was no social media. There was no all of this content and access and information coming around. You'd read about it in a magazine that, oh no, Paul DeMeo passed away. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay. You know, like that sucks, but like now it's like Generation I, and like you said, Ron, it's like I try not even to look at the page often because every time I look at it, it seems someone passed.
Right. You know, in a way, I'm glad they do that because I always said, you know, for every big name bodybuilder like a Sean Roden or Meadows or anybody that we all know, there's probably another 1,000 people that we've never heard of and we're never going to hear of. So I'm glad because people need to know, you know, everyone's an adult. You can do whatever the hell you want. You can do steroids, you can do crack, you can do oxy, whatever. You're a grown ass person. You can do whatever you want, but you should know what you're up against and what kind of risk you're taking, and then make an informed decision. Do I want to take this chance or screw that? I'd rather just live and not be as big.
Right. Because you're taking a chance.
Yeah, it depends how old you are too, though, right? Like
you're playing Russian roulette.
Sometimes we're just kamikazes. Yeah. Like we were kamikaze with the gear and the recreational shit, Ron. Like that was like a weekend. That was a regular weekend, and then like you party all weekend. Oh shit, it's time for my shot. Let's take it. It was just a vicious cycle. But like I said, in your 20s, we had that Superman complex. Like I was like, I don't give a shit. I just want a big coffin. Now I'm like, my kidney hurts. I'm thinking about going to the emergency room. It's just you hope these kids live long enough to get to the point we're at now, to realize how important, how precious life really is, right? But again, I would have done anything for that pro card or the trophy. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. In the 90s, before I moved down to Florida, we would go out on a Friday or Saturday night at a club, and we'd go home. We're on our way home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. We're like, shit, how are we going to wake up and go train? Why don't we go train right now? We did. Yeah. Let's go train right now, so then we can just sleep all day.
So you got, you know, me and Mike, we're open. We did a ton of we did a ton of ecstasy. You guys would train still rolling?
No, I didn't do any recreational drugs. I was scared.
Oh. Hey, Ron, I'll tell you a story.
Sure.
I was there. I was partying one night, 2020, And I'll be open. Like I've rolled my balls off quite a few times.
Yep.
And I went to the gym the following day, and I thought I was okay. I'm doing squats. All of a sudden, there was like a residual roll that still kind of kicked back in.
Oh.
So here I am. I squatted 500 pounds for 15 reps, and I'm like sitting there like jamming in my head, because the gym was playing like house and EDM music, and I'm just like, why can't I stop dancing? And all of a sudden, I took out my phone. I'm looking at my eyes. I'm like, oh fuck. Yeah, I don't recommend that. But yeah, I mean, we've all, we've done it. A lot of us have done it.
So I mean, getting back to the fact that drugs are in pretty much every sport.
Yeah.
But we do see, you'll see NFL players dropping dead every once in a while. It's not totally unheard of, but we don't hear about them dying at anywhere near the rate. Do you think it's, I strongly suspect that even though everyone does drugs, I don't think anyone does the sheer amount of drugs bodybuilders do. I don't think guys in the NFL are running 2, 3, 4 grams of gear and and all that. I just don't, because it's unnecessary. They probably have really good guidance that most bodybuilders.
Yeah, they lose a lot of money too.
The pros in those leagues are doing growth hormone, mostly growth hormone, so their recovery. I mean, how do these basketball players 6'6", 6'8", 7 feet are just going back to back on games, and the knees and the joints, it's they're doing what they need to do to recover.
When you have millions of dollars involved, you're gonna do whatever you have to do to win. Like people, like even in bodybuilding, man, like even in football, like you as a fan, and I hate to say this, like I don't give a shit if they're just get on the field, like just win. Like that's our mentality as a fan, but that's your mentality as a bodybuilder too. You want to win. Like we've all taken that extra diuretic, thinking we'll be a little bit drier, knowing that we might fuck up or our kidney's gonna hurt the next day. But it's just you can't push step on the gas. You can't push on the brake.
But
we all have that goal, man. Everybody wants that pro card. The pro card is still that Willy Wonka golden ticket that everybody's searching for, Ron.
Willy Wonka.
And you know what we would have done for that pro card. So I can't fault people now for doing it, but just get in and get out with your health. That's the only thing you can do. Just take your health first.
I never thought, knock on wood, I never thought it would ever happen to me.
No.
Of course. I mean, when you're young, I mean, I say this all the time. Human history. How old are soldiers? How old is a typical soldier? If you go back 1,000 years, even to now, it's like 15 to 25-year-olds. Those are the army. Why?
25-year-old.
They're never going to die. You tell them to run in, tell them, okay, we're going to send you all on this beach with thousands of people pointing machine guns at you as you land on this beach in Normandy. And they're like, all right, I'll be fine. Yeah, the next guy, that guy might die, but I'm not going to die. You have no sense of mortality. So at that age, you'll blast all kinds of gear and stuff because it's nothing's going to happen. Nothing bad's going to happen to me. It's going to happen to somebody else until you start losing friends or until even worse, until you start having health problems like
But Ron, you know how you get sucked in is, well, I took this much and I got great results and nothing happened to me. I don't see anything wrong. So now the next time you keep pushing a little more, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, man. I feel great. I look great. Next cycle, go a little more, and that you get sucked into it. And before you know it, you end up in a spot that you don't want to be at.
Yeah. When your meathead friends die, though, that does something to you, right?
A
couple years ago, I texted a dude. I said, "Hey, man, like, hit me up. We get a chance." Nothing. His dad texted me back. He goes, "He died in his sleep." And I just talked to this cat like a couple of days before, and like that kind of immediacy, because when like you're here at the beginning of the year, and now you're not. Like that kind of shit fucks your head up because it's just you don't know. It's like at our age, it's like dodging landmines of death. Is what I tell my friends. Like that 45 to 60 age is just it's tricky, man, because all that shit that we've done, it catches up to you. Like the booger sugar, all that shit, all the drinking, like, and sometimes like I said, we don't go to the doctor. It's just I got an uncle. He'd never been to the fucking doctor. He's 62 years old. never been. He passed out. Never been a fucking doctor before. But it's just one of those things because, man, you felt. I remember vividly how good I felt at 23. Like 30 years ago, I felt fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like you wake up, I would bounce to the strip club, come home, smoke a joint, eat some food, sleep for a couple hours, get up, go train, repeat.
And you sleep a couple hours, you wake up full.
Dude,
yeah.
I don't remember the last time I woke up full.
What? I would walk in there like half naked, like what the, especially after rolling, you're dry as shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, should I do this the day before a show? Like I'd really thought that to try to time it. But like it's just like even now, Chris, like, I would never want to be somebody now and take a pill nowadays. The idea of it was great, but the idea of rolling now, dude, it's like Russian roulette. Just point a gun to your head and shoot, pull the trigger.
There's fentanyl in like everything now.
Yep. Yeah.
So Ron,
Yeah.
So now, right? We're in this age now, right? And we're saying that a lot of bodybuilders are dying.
Yeah.
But there's more medical attention, blood work, this, that. You see what I'm saying? Like, if there's more ways of finding out if there's something wrong, but there's more guys dying now.
Well, I attribute that, and tell me if you agree or not, that people will hear that there's this issue or that issue, and they're like, well, I'll just get on this med to counteract that or this peptide, and that's going to keep me from things getting any worse. Because if you tell a guy, like, Chris, I'll use you as an example, because you're still coming up in the sport. You're not at your prime yet. You're getting better and better. You're 42 years old. If you found out there's an issue now, not something where a doctor says, you better stop or you're going to be dead like in a year. But if you saw there's some issue, would you stop gear and stop bodybuilding? Or would you try to mitigate it with other medications or supplements or something? Because I think that's what most guys do.
I think this will be very dependent on what exactly is going on with me. And it's interesting, like once I turned 40, I just kind of had this like epiphany where I was like aware of my own mortality, where like 5 years prior, it wasn't even a thought in my head. You know, like if my blood pressure was getting dangerously high, you know, and like they're like, oh, you have to take like telmisartan or something like that, I think I'd probably try to figure out a way to get it lower without taking medications. I'm not the type of person that wants to push the drugs and then have to take other drugs to offset the side effects of it.
There are coaches now telling their clients to take blood pressure medication because they know their blood pressure is going to go high. Why?
It's true. I see coaches do this all the time. Like they'll recommend a dose and they'll be like, telmisartan 40 milligrams.
Right.
You know, for blood pressure. It's like, why?
Instead of lowering everything or finding a different combination or figuring it out, why is it high? You're like, just take this and just put a Band-Aid on it for now.
The thing that really alarms me is that a lot of people, they get their blood work done and they don't review it with their doctor. They review it with their coach who has no medical training. I'm sure a lot of these guys are very, very well read on gear and things like that, but they're not doctors. So if I had my blood work done and I'm saying, hey, coach, what do you think? Does everything look okay? And I'm going to take his word for, yeah, you're good. This is a little high, but we'll be okay. And I think people are looking to coaches now because coaching, we're all coaches. It's become such a huge industry that I think bodybuilders have sort of invested all authority in them. Like they're my doctor, they're my psychiatrist, they're everything. So whatever issues I have, I'll just go to my coach and whatever he says or she says, I'll just accept that as
you can say some of these coaches actually read the blood work a little different, right? You go to a regular doctor, creatine levels are high. They're like, holy shit, dude, you better stop doing everything you're taking. Little did they know that they did legs the day before, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, if you have high protein intake and liver enzymes are slightly elevated, you know what I mean? Like, okay.
Yeah. When I see that on blood work, first I tell everybody, listen, 4 or 5 days, no training, go get your blood work. You know?
I do the same thing. I have a whole protocol.
Yeah. So, you know, and then if it comes back a little higher or whatever, you're like, hey, you know, that's part of it. But if you go to a doctor, oh, you know, we got to put you on high blood pressure medication. We got to put you on this, that, because that's all they know. They treat the symptom, you know? And yeah, but again, there are some coaches out there that consider themselves coaches, and they're taking a huge. It's a liability.
Yeah.
It's bad, real bad. And I know how to read blood work, and I'm in it. I understand it, and I still have an issue giving advice. And the first thing I say, well, if I was in this situation, this is what I would do. And the last thing I tell people is, hey, why don't you go take this drug or whatever. If I see something really off, hey, call your doctor and let's see what they say.
I do the same thing.
You know,
and I feel like you'd be doing your client injustice.
Absolutely. Well, that's what a real coach is, right?
Yeah, like, hey, this is alarming. You know, could be nothing. I'm not a doctor. I really suggest you talk to your doctor about this first, and just keep me in the loop, type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, because they'll come to you with like injuries and say, "What do we think this is?" I'm like, "Go get an MRI. How would I know?" I don't know what that is.
Great.
What do you think? How much of blood pressure? So if you have high blood pressure, obviously we know like gear can raise your blood pressure by making your blood thicker and everything. But how much do you think blood pressure being high could be diet related?
I know for me, it was like a lot of it sugar related, because that's what the doctor told me. Because actually it's stage 3 kidney disease, but it's not like I'm not dying. But
oh my God,
it's just you have to be more aware. Like my problem is, I love sugar, I loved it, and I never hydrated. And also after my last show, I always had a tendency of getting really heavy in the off season, so that put a lot of pressure on my kidneys. And my dumb ass, I think a lot of it happened my last show. I did such extreme stuff to lose weight, all the T3, old school water cut run, like Thursday, no water, you know what I mean? And then after the show, you're happy, you do good, you gorge, and I didn't hydrate. I didn't hydrate on pop. And so, like, I remember I was at work and my kidneys were fucking killing me. And I'm never going to the doctor because I just hate the doctor. So I go, my blood pressure was sky high. He goes, we're going to admit you. So one of my kidneys wasn't working as well. But, like, and again, I kind of just, I was like, okay, I'll be fine. I kind of signed myself out because she was like, oh, she said something about a catheter. And I'm like, I'm out. But I was still had that meathead mentality, right? Which I should have been like, dude, just stay, figure it out. But you just want to get back to the gym and get back to training. But you gotta watch your kidneys, bro. Like the kidneys, like that shit now scares me because people don't worry about kidney and blood pressure. Like my doctor goes, dude, you're gonna have a stroke. But this is I was eating, taking gear, not doing cardio. You know what I mean? Like the seasoned salt, but it's just you gotta be careful, man. Don't fuck with those kidneys, dude.
It's all about
kidneys and blood pressure can cause a lot of the heart issues too.
Yes.
You know, kidneys and heart are like my big two. Liver can regenerate, and it's a pretty resilient organ, but your kidneys and your heart, those are always something you got to watch out for.
Yeah, but they don't tell you that. They never told us that back in the day.
Like, my dumbass didn't know that high blood pressure left untreated can damage your kidneys until like 5-6 years ago. All those years, I had no idea that they were. I'm like, why are all these bodybuilders going into kidney failure? That doesn't make any sense. It's the liver, isn't it? The liver and the heart.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
I was fortunate enough to learn all this in school. I mean, like I said, I'm a dietitian. I worked in a hospital setting for a little while, you know, and seeing people and, you know, teaching cardiac rehab classes, you know, for all those people. So, I mean, I knew all this very early on, which I think definitely has helped me quite a bit because I can read blood work no problem. You know, I remember one time I took I have beta thalassemia intermedia, and I was taking Rich Gaspari's Size on Max, which I thought was a phenomenal intra workout. But there was one day where I was training, and all of a sudden my heart was like out of rhythm so bad. It was just, and I went home. I'm like, all right, it's been 2 hours. It hasn't gone back into rhythm. So I took some aspirin just to thin my blood a little bit. I drove myself to the ER. You know, I was also dehydrated. So when they took my blood work, they're like, oh, you're in kidney failure. I go, I'm not in kidney failure. I'm dehydrated. And I'm like, give me some fluids, recheck. I'm like, but I was in VFib. And yeah, so there, you know, I was in the hospital and stuff for 2-3 days, and they're like, okay, we're going to do a cardio version on you. And I'm like, what's that? And they're like, oh, we stop your heart and it'll go back. I'm like, no, fuck you. You're not fucking doing that. It'll go back in a normal rhythm. You know, but it was for some reason, whatever was in that, something with my blood condition caused my heart to tweak out a little bit. That was really only the scare I've ever had. And it wasn't even like I even told the doctors, I'm like, I'm running this. They're like, no, it's not that's causing this. It's, you know, creatine is actually what they were trying to tell me was the issue, which I still disagree with.
I mean, back then when you heard kidney problems, you knew it was from diuretics. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. It's like, shit, how many Lasix did he take?
Yeah.
So let me we're going to be near the end soon. So I want to shift it over to bodybuilders are going to keep using gear. Unfortunately, you have to. You don't have a choice. If you want to look this way, these things are needed to create that look. It's not even an argument. So what can people do? You know, if anyone's watching this, what can people do to decrease their chances of serious health problems? Because there's no safe way to be an enhanced bodybuilder, but I think there is a safer way. So we'll start with you, Chris. What would your best advice be for guys to try to live a little longer and healthier?
I think that if you have extremely high levels of body fat and then you start to take PEDs, I think that is not a good idea because you probably already have a lot of inflammation in your body. So I think that, you know, you should probably work on just losing some weight and doing some basic strength training before you took any of that stuff. I think that lowers your exposure. I think if you do decide to start doing this stuff, I would highly recommend letting your primary care physician know about this so they know exactly what to monitor right from the start. I also think that if you are going to start taking PEDs, be as educated as you possibly can. There's so much information out there just, in your phone that you can look up all the information and kind of learn a little bit. And then even when you start taking stuff, don't start taking tons of crap all at once. Start with like just testosterone at like a normal or like a low dose. Even if your testosterone levels are normal and you take a TRT dose, you are going to see a lot of results from that. And I always view like less is more. Don't try to push the envelope all the time. Like if you're under 200 pounds and you're taking grams of gear, like you're just doing it wrong, man.
Jim, your best advice.
Chris said it best, man. I would just mirror what he said. I mean, he said it. He hit every angle.
All right, Mike, what would you have done differently?
I would have found me a good doctor, one that I can trust and be open with about things. And then I would have gotten blood work, man. I would have gotten blood work twice a year, and just stayed on it and not. It's just that run that quest for size, that quest that we had to chase that card, man. But you have to just be patient. You got one heart, one liver, and two kidneys. Once those are screwed, it's a wrap, fellas. So just think long term, because one day you will hopefully be in your 50s and healthy. Well, right? So just be patient.
If you were 24, you would say, you can spare the one kidney.
Yeah.
Dave Lieberman only has one kidney.
Yes, he has.
He was born with one.
Yeah, he was born with one.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people don't want to get blood work and are scared to go to the doctor, but I mean, you really can't be. The reason why is like, let's say you have something that happens to you or something that's going on in your body and you go and you get blood work and you're scared to get the results. When you get the results, usually majority of the stuff can be fixed early on. But if like it goes by 5, 6, 7 years or longer and you haven't addressed that, that's when you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass because you could have avoided all of this had you gone sooner.
But you know what? I agree. I totally agree with you. Even if you think it's going to be bad, it's like you want to know the truth, right? Even though you're telling someone's telling you, listen, you don't want to know about this. They're like, just tell me, I'll get over it, right? When you get your blood work back, you're like, okay. Like, you know what to fix, or you know what you don't need to fix. Yep. It's like it's an amazing feeling. Either way, it really is.
I just wanted to say this too, Jimmy, just because you kind of just brought up, nothing feels so good when you get your blood work back. Absolutely. And your blood work is like perfect.
Yeah.
That right there is one of the best feelings,
So here's the bodybuilder in me, because I'll die as a bodybuilder. And you guys know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I get my blood work back. I'm like, shit, I'm going right back on.
I was just about to say that. I can't even tell you how many friends, pros, amateurs are like, oh man, just got a clean bill of health blood work, came back perfect. Let's blast.
Right. My doctor locked me up in a room for 4 days, ran tests about 2 years ago. And in the room down in Miami, my wife slept with me for 4 days. And I'm like telling her, right? Because it's been a while since I got a really good exam, like everything, right? So he just locked me up for 4 days. And I'm right before the test started. And I'm like, babe, I promise you, if I get a clean bill of health, I promise you I'll eat my vegetables. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, this. So that night, 8 o'clock at night, all the way 2 o'clock in the morning, they're running tests. I'm doing a CAT scan at 2 o'clock in the morning, an MRI at 3:30 in the morning. They were just running me, right? So Saturday morning comes around, nurse comes in. I said, any results? No, you're so good. Okay. Anyway, Sunday comes around and I'm like, hey, how we doing? Everything's good so far. I turn around to my wife. Listen, they're going to hit us with something. I can't be after all these years, So anyway, Monday comes around and they took me downstairs for a stress test. I think I told you guys this story. And did the stress test, whatever, and we're driving home from the hospital on I-95 north, and I look over to and I got a clean bill of health, man. Like I was like calcium score, everything. And I look over to my wife and I said, babe, I think I got one more in me.
I knew that. Yep, there it is.
She opened that door on I-95 and she's like, let me out now.
Hey guys, this is a good point. I think pre-workouts, I've been taking them for 1,000 years. I'm a pre-workout addict, but I don't think it's good for your heart to be using them all the time, and especially bodybuilders being the knuckleheads that we are. If it says 1 scoop, serving size 1 scoop, yeah, you might start with 1 scoop, but then a couple weeks later, I'll do a scoop and a half. Wow, now I'm even more jacked up for the workout. It becomes 2 scoops. And I know there are people doing like 3-4 scoops of a canister that says 1. I felt my heart being like a jackhammer at times, driving to the gym, drinking my pre-workout because I put 2 scoops in or 3 scoops in, and that scared me and I backed off. But do you think that could be another contributing factor into all the heart issues that we've been seeing?
There have been studies that have been coming out now as of late that a normal amount of caffeine intake is actually cardioprotective.
Oh.
And I've even read stuff and learned caffeine at a certain milligram dose does have a vasodilation effect. It's not as much of a constrictor. Once you're getting up to like that 400 milligrams of caffeine in a pre-workout, plus like other stimulants, DMHA,
other
DMAA.
stimulants in there. That's the thing. It's not only
that's the issue. Right? It's just caffeine. Caffeine to a certain degree is pretty good. You'd have to take so much caffeine for it to be fatal. But like it's all the other stuff that's in there. And then even then some of these bathtub brands, as I like to call them, like you don't know what the hell they're putting in there. They don't always test out.
Right. So let me ask you guys something. How do you think this generation would have done with 1,3-dimethyl? Jack 3D.
Oh,
remember that?
Orange.
Is that DMAA?
Yeah.
DMAA, yeah.
Dude, I thought I was on.
Remember the Jack 3D? That scoop was this big. I'm like,
that was awful. I was sweating. It was like I was in Colombia or some shit, dude. It was awful.
I opened that can up. I was in the car. I opened that can. I'm like, what the fuck is this scoop going to do to me?
Yeah.
Right? So I took 2 scoops.
Yeah.
Half hour later, I pulled over on the road. I'm sitting with my hands on my knees trying to catch my breath in the middle of the street.
Right.
There's still some pre-workouts out there now that have DMAA in them, even though it is actually illegal. And there's still kids taking it.
Crazy.
But the one thing I've actually noticed a trend with younger kids and supplements is they don't go for the harsh stims anymore. They like the pump.
The pump.
They look for like the non-stim pump stuff.
Oh.
So that's another topic we could talk about. Not now.
Big business, man.
But now that the pump doesn't grow muscle, why is everybody spending their money on the pump products?
You know what? I don't care what anyone says. If I get a fucking raging ass pump in the gym,
Thank you.
I'm growing from that. I don't
Right.
care what
Thank you.
anyone
Right.
says.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, I don't care what science says. I'm growing on the pump.
I mean, Honey Rambod's FST7, that's entirely based on the pump.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Well,
dude.
progression
Like
too,
Neil
but-
Sarchev's like giant sets
Well,
with like the
yeah.
100 grams intra-workout carbs. Like,
I mean, that's where the insulin thing comes in. It's the transportation of the nutrients. The pump.
Damn kids, man.
I
Jesus.
don't understand it, man.
Just lift some weight, man.
I could continue to go on with this, but I'm
Yeah.
going to stop.
Well, so I guess the last thing,
Another time.
yeah, the one last thing I want to address is what about cardio? Because a lot bodybuilders hate cardio, but and weight training, if you keep a good pace, yeah, your heart rate's going to be up there, but I don't think it's ever going to be a substitute for doing. I think what they say, you need to do 180 minutes of cardio a week for optimal heart health. I think that was the number, 180. VO2, having a higher VO2 max is heart protective. And bodybuilders will do it for a prep, but a ton of guys will not do one minute of cardio until like it's 16 weeks until show day. And I wonder if that would help keep more guys alive longer if they were just more dedicated to cardio as much as they hate it.
When I started doing cardio in my off season at the 280, 300, 320 mark, not only did I keep my appetite, but I felt so much better. I actually grew. I felt better than I did at 260, 270, not doing any cardio.
Yeah.
I do cardio 4 to 5 days a week in the off season. It might only be like 20, 25 minutes, but and I like to get a good sweat going. So I'll let my heart rate get up there. I'm not talking like fat burning cardio. I'm talking about actual like cardio where like it's cardiovascular system that's being, worked. And I think it's great for heart health. It's great for metabolism, moving food around.
Absolutely.
It helps with insulin, with insulin sensitivity. So
the blood oxygen level, you get that oxygen level up there, man. You're gold.
I do an hour a day now. Every day, I 1 hour a day of cardio, dude.
Good, man.
I'm not trying to get jacked anymore. So I'm not strong. You know what I mean? So just might as well do cardio. Just you feel better too. And at our age, man, you're more heart conscious at this age than you were. I never did cardio in all season. It was almost like a prideful being big and heavy and breathing heavy and like we said, tying your shoes and shit. That was, you want to be big. It wasn't really pushed. He said, Ron, 16 weeks out, let's start doing like double cardio sessions and tuna and broccoli and suffer.
Yeah,
that was just how it was.
Back then, you're like, I'm not doing any cardio. I want to keep my calories.
Yeah. It's like you want to expend energy. You want to grow.
Yeah.
We back in the day, I had the mentality that cardio is going to keep me from making gains. I can't do any cardio. I won't recover and I won't grow.
But I remember,
the minute I started doing cardio in my off season is when I started growing.
Yeah. I got to give credit to, I think John Perillo was one of the first guys to tell bodybuilders, you need to do cardio. It's going to stimulate your metabolism. It's going to build your capillary beds. It's going to increase your appetite. And, it still took another 20 years after he started preaching that for bodybuilders to finally start coming around.
Isn't that crazy?
John was my mentor.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was 2 weeks off the plane from Greece. Barely didn't know anything. And he puts me in his booth at my first Arnold Classic between Dennis Newman and Debbie Kruk.
Debbie Kruk.
Dude, I was like, what the fuck? This
Fashion
is what it's all about. And back then, the Arnold Expos were just like everybody butt naked and big.
God bless Robert Kennedy.
Yeah, you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Muscle Elegance booth. Me and Mike were hanging around quite a bit.
Very first one. Very first booth.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, we've been going for an hour and a half, so I think it's time I put a cap on all this. Bodybuilders are dying at an alarming rate, and we've all lost friends and people that we knew. And I hate seeing, even when it's somebody from around the world, if I see somebody that's like 28-year-old dies of a heart attack, and bodybuilder, like, are you kidding me? 28 years old. You're a baby at 20. You have no idea. Because until you're like in your 40s and 50s, you don't realize how young that really is. And I don't want to see it anymore. So I don't.
I'd give anything to be 41 like Chris.
Oh, shit.
Man. Bro.
41.
God
Oh,
damn.
It's like, give me a little of that.
Hey, I hope I look as good and as handsome as you are at your age.
But Jimmy's a stud.
Yeah.
Chris, this is what's left, man.
Wow.
Well, it's okay. You know, you got that Greek Mediterranean blood, and I got that Italian Mediterranean blood.
Yeah,
So
That's
you know,
all.
Yeah.
Thank God for our ancestors.
yeah.
I mean, I want people to live to an old age, because when you're young, you know, you think, who wants to be an old man? But by the time you get to be 40, 50, you're like, well, I don't want to die.
Life's pretty good, bro.
I like living. Living's good. I like family and friends and training and sex and music and all these things that are part of you'll never enjoy those things again.
Just
if
going
it's
for a walk in the woods with your dog like I do like twice a day is amazing.
Yeah, me too.
Guys, let me just give you something before we close out. I never thought I was going to make 60. Okay. And I lay, and I'm not going to try to get emotional, but you think totally different. Like, I think of things like, how much more time do I have left? Like, I lay with my dog and I was like, how am I going to, if he dies, because obviously they only have a 10-year lifespan, right? He's a boxer. It's like, I never thought of that about my animals. You know, I never thought of things so dear to me, so sensitive, my friends, my relationships. Like, I don't know if I could say I took them for granted, but I just never realized until I got older that I'm 60, right? What do I got? Another 15 years, maybe, right? If I make it past 75, I'm good. My dad's going to be turning 93 February 2nd.
Jeez.
Okay? So, and my mom's 88, 89. So I come from a good, you know, olive oil and freaking, you know, but again, my whole thought process, my whole thing of life, like, I've gotten really soft. Does that make sense? Like, everything means something different now.
I don't think it's that you've gotten soft. I just think your outlook has changed, because even mine has changed. And, you know, I think of a lot of the same things you do, you know, like with like my cats, my dog, you know, my wife's 10 years younger than me. So I want to make sure that, you know, I'm around long. Like, I want to push the age limit. Right. You know, I want to see 100 plus, you know.
But again, it's like when you see, like, when you get to my age, wow, I'm starting to sound like my dad. When you get to my age, right? And you like when I talk to you, Chris, it's like, I mean, it's like, hey, I'm here for you. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to sound corny.
No, I get it, and I like hearing what you're saying, because it's stuff I'll remember. I always like listening to people that are older than me, like all their stories, their advice, stuff that they've gone through, because I can learn from that. Right,
but when we're 25 and 30, you know what they say to me? Yeah, you're just an old guy. But now that fucking thing flips on you, right? Now, whatever my dad used to tell me, holy shit, Dad was right.
Yeah.
You know, I think having kids, you know, my kids are older now. They're 26, and my daughter will be 32 in a couple months. But you want to be there to see them, because, you know, I lost my dad really young. He never got to see me grow into an adult. He never met his grandchildren. I've already outlived in their lives where we were, where I was at with him. But, you know, I'm not going to tell everyone, go out and have kids and breed. You know, I'm not saying that, but it does give you a perspective of wanting to be around, not just for yourself, but for those people. Because, you know, if you lose a parent, especially when you're young, you realize how that really impacts. You know, I know if I die, I know what my kids are going to go through, because I went through that, and I don't want to put them through that. They're older now, than they're not like kids or teenagers anymore, but still, you know, you want to live and you want to be alive for them too. Just you don't want that trauma. You know, you're really putting them through hell when you lose a parent, especially young. And a lot of these bodybuilders that have died, they did have young children. It's awful.
But Jason's got one on the way.
Yeah.
Jason's one on the way.
Jason had one on the way?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Meadows passed, all I could think of was those
kids, man.
those twin, they're twins. I think they were only like 8 or 9 years old. They were so young. Oh my
Very
god!
young.
Was John after Dallas?
Yeah, John was 2021.
It was Dallas. Then you had what's his name? Piana.
Cedric.
Remember Cedric? I think it was just a snowball that one year.
Yeah.
I actually cried. My eyes out when Meadows passed.
I did too.
That was a hard one, dude. You know what I mean? Like, if there was one guy that's universally a good dude that not one person had a bad thing to say about, especially in bodybuilding, because there's not a lot of great guys in bodybuilding. Let's face it, right? There's some unscrupulous people. But John was that one dude that was like cool with everyone. Like, always had something positive to say. Always spoke. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I always gave John a lot of shit, and he hated it. You know that whole T-bar thing that he would grab it and do this?
Oh, the Meadows Rose. Yeah.
Meadows Rose.
Oh, I used to make fun of it all the time. But I knew it was good. But but that every time I would train and he would see me or I would see him, I was like, hey, you're still doing that fucking exercise? You know?
Everybody, how many people do that all these years later?
He touched a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know.
Yeah. I mean, every time, every bodybuilder died with kids. It really hurt me to see that happen. Like remember Matt Porter?
Yeah.
His kid in Dallas on Boston Lloyd. His boy was only like 2 or 3. I mean, I bawled my eyes out for.
What's his name? Andy. Remember his whole family used to dress up as cartoon characters.
Andy Hammond. Yes.
Yeah. Andy went in for a tricep tear and he died from a blood clot.
No shit.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. All right, guys. Well, we don't want to be too much grim. We've covered a lot of ground here, and
the whole thing was about deaths. What are you talking about?
I know. I put the Grim Reaper in the damn thumbnail. So what am I saying? But,
next week is about partying.
Yeah, there you go. We'll talk about I'll try to think of something lighter, something a little more uplifting for next week. Jimmy and Chris, I got to thank you guys for this. Is the 3rd week in a row, and people love you both.
Yes.
You're beloved.
I'm here. You know me. I'm here whenever you guys. You know.
And Chris, people keep commenting on how much you sound like Jose.
And it's funny because Jose is actually a good friend of mine, you know, and we used to be sponsored by the same company at one point and actually did videos together. So I know him well and have a lot of funny stories about him. And his voice is a little more raspier than mine, though.
Well, you'll be there when
it is. Chris, you know what? It's the way you finish your sentences. Jose does too. It's like you just drag them out just a little. Is it a Boston? Is it a Boston thing? What is it?
I think it might be.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Because I don't know what the hell you're talking about when you're saying I finish my sentences a certain way. I have no fucking clue.
That's like when they meet me. They're like, "You from Jersey?" I'm like, "How the fuck you know?"
I could spot Jersey a mile away.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much,
man. Thank you so much.
Oh, someone thought you were Jose, Chris. Come on, they don't look that much.
I'm a little bit taller than Jose, damn it.
Yeah, but you're sitting.
That's true. That is true.
All right. So, Mike, you're here every week, so thank you so much.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Jimmy, Chris,
whenever you guys want, when you guys want me, you know, I'm here.
Yeah, whenever you guys want me back on.
Give these two a follow, guys. Jimmy Mentis 1 and Chris Pantano Squats. It should be Chris Pantano Squats 800, but that was too long. So he cut it off at 12 characters there. But thank you so much, guys, for that. And thank everyone who participated in the live chat. We always have a good time on these Meathead podcasts. We're here for you guys. And if you have other ideas for show topics, leave them in the comments because my brain isn't as creative as it used to be. So I'm open to suggestion. And that's it. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. And we'll see you right here on the Meathead podcast next time.